little rough on the landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
Lie down with me, Watson.
Why?
I insist.
Hello, everyone. This is Alex,
With Tyler.
and welcome to Settle for the Bronze. What are we talking about this time?
We are talking about Sherlock Holmes 2.
A Game of Shadows, right?
Game of Shadows.
Yeah. We don't really get why everyone hates this one.
Yeah. This is how we feel about a lot of things, to be fair. But, yeah. It has a 7.5 on IMDb, a 59% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critic score, and a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes for the audience score.
Okay.
Which is low.
It's technically rotten.
Yeah. Which is weird.
Spider-Man 3 has a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than this movie.
Which is wrong. Which is
It's so wrong
incorrect.
on so many levels.
It's false.
Alright,
No.
Tyler, let's go ahead and get your thoughts.
I like it.
Recommendations
I
out
think
of
it's
the way.
fine. I mean, I enjoy the first one. I enjoy this one as well. I think it's got actually a lot of cool effects and everything. Very interesting direction. I like the score. It's. I almost want to say my favorite Hans Zimmer score. I really like it, and it feels. We were talking about this earlier. It feels a lot more iconic. As far not as far as like how good it is, but as far as like the themes you can get out of it and stuff like that. I don't know. And it's just
There's specific beats that you can remember a lot more
Yeah,
easily than some of these other scores.
The actors are just as good as they were in the first one. They cast similar good actors for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot I don't like about this. I don't really know why people hate it so much.
What letter grade would you give it?
B plus. B plus.
Okay.
Consider B plus.
Okay. I don't disagree with anything you just said. Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot of problems with it either. I think it's well made. And by the way, for those of you that are hard, BBC Sherlock fans, we're not going to be spending this.
We have watched the Sherlock.
Yeah, and we both love it a lot.
Yes, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, but we're not going to spend this whole time just comparing the Robert Downey Jr. version versus the Benedict Cumberbatch version. We're not going to be doing that because they're just completely separate.
No, there's
entities.
no way you can. They're basically different characters.
It feels like trying to compare like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies almost to like Adam West.
Yeah.
Not saying that
One is but in terms of just how starkly different the tone is, there's no way you can sit there and say one is better than the other. I mean, they're both trying to accomplish very different things.
And they both
I think they both succeed very well.
Yeah, but they're going for different things, like you said. I'd go for B plus as well.
Okay.
It doesn't quite reach that level of greatness. Like, oh my god, that is one of my favorite movies. Which, for me to give a movie an A or in the A range, I feel like it needs to do that. But yeah, it's technically rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and I just don't get it. I told you while we were watching it, before we started recording, that I think of this and like the recent Mission Impossible movies. Mm-hmm. They're like the modern equivalents of the Indiana Jones films.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. It's a weird comparison to make, but I get it. Yeah. Like I understand where that because it is.
In terms of like these well-made fun adventure movies that have great characters.
Yeah, and they are actually interesting.
But
they have.
But you wouldn't say there's like, oh, that's super highbrow, or that's like the most amazing cinematic experience I've ever had. Like,
it's clever.
It's just supposed to be fun adventure.
Yeah, it's inventive. It's creative.
Yeah,
it knows it knows it's not
Well made is the best thing I would say about it. It's very well made.
I agree.
So full on spoilers from here on out. If you haven't seen the movie and for some reason you want to after our recommendation.
We recommend it. Yeah. So go. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Yeah.
Before that, what did we think of the first one?
First one, I think feel about the same for me.
Yeah.
I think this one gets a little more ambitious almost.
Just in terms of scope.
Yeah.
It's more ambitious.
And there, like some of the action and stuff like that, it goes a little farther. It pushes what it did in the first one a little bit. It stretches in places. It's got we'll get into that. It's got a few flaws, but for the most part, I think it's just exactly what a sequel should be. Just a bigger version of the first one with the same sort of tone, but it's a different plot. Bigger plot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people don't like the Robert Downey Jr. version of Sherlock Holmes because it's not what I think of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
It's different. It's kind of like the 2009 Star Trek movie,
Uh-huh.
which is funny because both the first Sherlock Holmes movie and Star Trek came out in 2009. But they're both like, oh, this isn't your dad's whatever, insert thing here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
Same idea.
They're both thoroughly entertaining, fun rides.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, full-on spoilers from here on out. I guess, do we want to go ahead and talk about flaws? If we have any flaws?
I kind of feel like we should just break down everything one by one.
Okay.
Take a look at how we feel about everything. So first off, we mentioned the actors. Everyone shines here, basically. Robert Downey Jr. is amazing as ever. Jude Law is great.
I love his chemistry with Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law is great. I even like...
it's probably the best part of both movies.
Yeah,
their chemistry.
definitely. I mean, that's what they base it on. You can tell by the way they play that up and like work that into like the center of the plot.
Yeah.
That they know that that's where they're really, keeping people interested.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know the names of any of the other. Actually, no, I do.
Do you?
No, actually, I don't. I thought I knew the name of a girl who was in Prometheus.
Oh, Noomi Rapace?
Yes. I didn't want. I
It's
thought
funny.
of that while I was saying
She has shown up twice now on Settle for the Bronze.
Yes.
And this movie is
We should
significantly better than
We
Prometheus.
should keep a list of people who
frequently show up on
yes,
the show.
yes.
Yeah. She's in a significantly better movie.
Yeah, it's a much better movie.
Yeah.
Jude Law, as I already said, he's great. Who's the actress that plays his wife?
I don't remember.
she's good. She's fine.
I
like her in certain parts.
I've only seen her in a couple other things.
Yeah.
I think she was in the Denzel Washington movie Flight. If you've seen that, I think it's on Netflix. Yeah, whatever. But she's good in that.
I like Moriarty. I like Moriarty and Mycroft.
We'll get to Moriarty. I have a couple things I want to talk about. Stephen Fry's Mycroft is amazing.
Yes, very good.
Although I like Stephen Fry in pretty much anything, so he's just really fun to watch.
Yeah,
He's great.
yeah,
He has great screen presence. Just like Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, there are some other minor actors cast out the film. Those are the main ones, but everyone, nobody really seems to have a problem being here.
Yeah, there's nobody. Yeah, we weren't stopping like halfway through the movie or something going, that person just seems completely out of place.
In fact, I almost feel like they make the movie better than the script calls for. Like I like a lot of the script, but I feel like it wouldn't. So like if you really pay attention to the dialogue, it feels like it would not be quite as good in less capable hands. But because they are the actors they are, they know how to pull off lines that might be a little more wooden.
Like the dialogue between Sherlock and Watson sometimes. I feel like it's mostly just their charisma that they bring to the dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. Not a huge. I mean, like, not that the script is bad or anything, but it's you can tell that.
I always respect a script that has all those interwoven plot elements, especially in like a detective story.
Yeah.
And it still manages to make sense.
Yeah.
I may be confused for a little bit, but then they do a great job of explaining it. And then it's fun to watch over again because you pick up on the little things that,
It's definitely not a movie you can turn your brain off for.
No. That's why I like it a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I don't understand people giving this a negative rating.
Well, and I think that's the problem is that the first Sherlock Holmes movie, and Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes, it's been a while since I've seen it, so remind me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that for the most part, like, the main narrative was all solved at the very end, was it not? Like, at that point, it was like, oh, I actually knew what was going on the whole time.
The last act pretty much fills in all the blanks.
Yes.
Whereas this one, there's constantly stuff.
Yeah, there's constantly just little things being thrown out there. There's some stuff that they talk about, like, 20 minutes after it initially was important to the plot, and then they talk about it later, and they're like, oh, so that's how I knew that. Yeah. And, like, it's very, you have to pay close attention to figure out exactly how he's making these leaps. And that's what I was talking about where it stretches. Sometimes the logic and how he gets from one connection to another and that sort of thing, sometimes it's a little far, but for the most part it holds up.
I love it in so much as it's almost all through visuals.
Yeah.
Until he has to explain it to like Watson or Noomi Rapace's character, it's all like how he visualizes everything in his head and like the pieces that he picks up.
Yeah.
And how can you not love that?
Yeah, it's really cool.
He doesn't need to spell it out with exposition.
Yeah, that is one of two things that I think are really big or really cool little directing kind of I don't know what you call them, quirks, I guess, that this movie has that I really enjoy. The other,
it's stylistically designed to be that way.
Yeah, exactly. It's
but
like poetry. It rhymes.
But we can diminish the effects.
What is he? This is not a bashing of George Lucas, unfortunately. Anyway, the other thing I really like about the directing, I do love the slow-mo going on in the way, basically the way all of the action scenes are shot.
Yeah.
Are really cool.
And each one, they feel like they're shot differently.
Yeah, that's true.
They probably use a lot of the same techniques, but each one feels distinctly different.
Yeah, but they all kind of feel very analytical. Like they're setting it up in such a way that he is, because I mean you've got kind of the same thing he did in the first one where he sits there and analyzes how he's going to play this fight out.
Yeah,
it doesn't go down exactly the same way because he doesn't again, you were talking about the visuals, he doesn't sit there and talk and say everyone like he did in the first one. It's
he does that once or twice.
Yeah, but for the most part it's like in this one everyone they probably assume everyone's seen the first one if you're seeing the second one, so they know that everyone kind of has the idea of that fight scene.
Yeah.
And that fighting style.
Wasn't that one of the big things in the trailers for the first one too? I think they have that where he's like, I'm going to attack here, and now here, and now here. And
he says the parts he's attacking, the body parts he's attacking. Stuff. Yeah, no, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And they do the exact same thing where it's instead of him saying it out loud, he just like it goes through in slow motion of him like thinking through and you can tell he's just thinking through what exactly he's going to do, and then we see it in fast, which also makes the fight a lot better because it even though they happen in the span of like 5 seconds, you get to see everything that's happening.
Yeah,
which is not something that you get in a lot of action movies where it's this very like blur of people flailing their arms or giant robots tackling to the ground and they're just all spinning in metal parts everywhere. Or, it's I don't know. All the like convoluted battle fights you can think of, none of them happen here. Like it's all very, because even though it does happen very fast when they play it normal time, it's still very slow and meticulous, and you know exactly what is happening, and you're like, that's a cool fight. That's good choreography.
Well, even then, sometimes they subvert expectations. Like,
yeah, they do it twice.
The one time but the one time I'm thinking of where he actually goes through, he's attacking the guy who's hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
He's talking about how he's going to attack him with the umbrella.
He's going to pull him out with the umbrella, and then he's going to like do all these moves, and he's going to set him up to where he can knock him out, and then it's like, and now the final punch to knock him out. And then he drags him down from the ceiling.
And Numir's Rapace just throws a bunch of knives at him.
Yeah, he throws him down from the ceiling, he starts to attack him, and it's just like, doo-doo-doo, and then he's like, oh, he's dead. And then in the final fight scene, which is amazing, we should probably hold off on that discussion for a moment and talk about that with Moriarty.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and just talk about a couple of problems I had with the plot.
Uh-huh.
And this is mostly just related to the first one.
Uh-huh.
At the end of the first one of the big things that is like, oh, Moriarty's up to no good, I need to go catch him. Like, that's how the first movie ends.
Yeah.
And it involves him stealing a little thing off whatever device Mark Strong was trying to use to gas the people in Parliament. And it's like a radio wave-based device.
Yeah.
And that is completely dropped in this movie. Like, that is not addressed.
It is, but it kind of feels like... I don't mind that at all, actually, because you could almost assume that is the starting point for his investigations into Moriarty. Because, like, we see him at the very beginning of this movie, there's obviously a time jump.
Yeah.
Because at the very beginning, he's got this huge map of, like, all these things, and a string map of all these... String maps are always fun. They're always a great way of showing that a situation is really complicated without actually...
And that the person making them has lost his mind.
Yes.
His or her mind.
Pretty much. But yeah, it's I don't even know how you would go about making a map that complex. I don't know if it's actually possible. However...
See, I think you're right for the most part, except at the end of the first movie, he's like, it'll change the world, and he makes it out to be like this huge thing that he stole this device.
Was he talking about that, or was he talking about...
No, he was talking about the device specifically, not Moriarty.
Interesting.
I know you haven't seen the first movie in a while.
Yeah.
It was actually on TV last week, or a couple of days ago, whatever. And I was able to see that end bit. And that just bothered me.
Interesting.
Oh, and a weird thing. When I watched it on TV, and they have a couple of scenes with Moriarty, and he has some lines of dialogue. When I saw it in the theater, and I believe on my DVD, it's not the actor that they got to play Moriarty in this movie. Jared Harris? I don't know.
Sounds right.
Can you check me on
Sure.
that real quick? But in the TV version that I watched, they dubbed over his lines with that actor's voice.
Interesting. I wonder at what point they did that.
I don't know.
Huh.
But this
That's kinda cool.
this isn't like me going crazy. I'm sure that's what it was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense.
I mean, I like that.
It is Jared Harris, by the way.
Okay, cool. That's like a special edition change that I like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like
Something that makes sense
yeah.
for you. Yeah. No, I agree. That's cool.
Yeah.
Any other flaws before we jump into
why did
Moriarty?
they have to murder Rachel McAdams?
I'm of two minds in that because and the first way in the first movie, yeah, she's the main character and everything, but I kind of appreciate that they didn't, have any sort of convoluted thing about bringing her back.
Yeah, but I just kind of wish she wasn't in the movie. Why do you have to have her show up for 5 minutes just to get killed?
Yeah.
I mean, I know in the first movie.
Well, I mean, obviously it's to make Moriarty seem like more of a bad guy and make it obvious.
I feel like you could do that in other ways.
You could, but I mean, I honestly don't mind it too much because I feel like, well, for one, I do appreciate the fact that they weren't like, oh, she's actually alive because Sherlock saved her, with some convoluted drug that made her.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah, exactly, and that was what I was worried about the whole time, was that he was going to do that.
I mean,
but,
it's not a big deal, but it's just like
I know people had problems with
I
that.
liked her character a lot.
Yeah. I know people had problems with that, and I can see why, especially since it seems like they just kind of replace her immediately with
she was very much
Numi Rapace.
She was very much like the Catwoman of this universe.
Yeah.
And it's like get rid of her. And
I feel like it's just because they had nobody else for Moriarty to really strike at. I don't know. It does raise the stakes, but at the same time, I can see why. I don't know how they could have done it better. I guess.
Well, then also, they could have done it better. In so much as they don't really address it after like the halfway mark. It's like,
that's true. At the halfway mark, he like looks at it.
No, because he has the handkerchief that she had, and then he like throws it off the boat because he's like, I don't care anymore.
That's true. Yeah, and she probably should have lasted a little longer too, and done a little more against Moriarty or something like that. I don't know.
Or like in the end conflict between them when they're playing chess or something, like a little line of dialogue about her, or something.
I guess.
Or have Watson actually talk to Sherlock about it.
Yeah.
They don't even talk about it. Watson sees the handkerchief, he grabs it, and then Sherlock just snatches it away from him.
Yeah.
That really bothered me.
I just remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, she's actually dead. They're not going to do any like convoluted mess to bring her back. On the second, and that's why I appreciate it so much. On the second viewing, I will say it's a lot more forgettable. The fact that she was in this movie at all is a lot more forgettable.
But that's my problem.
Yeah,
don't have her in the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
If you're gonna have her in there for 5 minutes and then just kill her off.
I get why she's in the movie. I do think they should have played that up a little more as far as how it affected Sherlock and stuff.
Yeah. If you're gonna kill her off, have it be meaningful.
Yeah.
And it does seem to be working for a while, and then they just completely drop it.
Yeah.
It's almost like if they did like a rewrite for it, and they had stuff about
probably.
it, and they just kind of cut it out.
Right.
So cut it down for time.
Yeah. But I guess that's a good jumping off point to talk about Moriarty himself, and
a lot of people have problems with him, right?
Really, I did not know that. I haven't heard it.
I am trying to remember the reviews that I heard at the time. I think they said he just wasn't very menacing, like he wasn't, imposing. I don't know.
I disagree. I think he's awesome.
Did they want him to be like more flamboyant? I don't know.
I think he's great. They may be comparing it to the Sherlock Moriarty.
Maybe.
But I think he's wonderful. I think it's a really cool. It feels very much like Moriarty. And let me go ahead and address something really quick too. The fact that I just appreciate this movie a lot for actually making me feel like Moriarty is a big villain, and he's important to the story, and like he's very significant. Because in the actual, I have actually read the complete Sherlock Holmes as written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It was a long time ago. It's not recently, but I have a book that I've read all that.
I have not. Because I'm a hack
Alex
frog.
is not.
I'm a hack frog.
and the death of Sherlock Holmes, like that story where Moriarty shows up.
Yeah.
Moriarty shows up completely out of nowhere. He literally just wanted to kill off Sherlock Holmes so he could stop writing about him because it had started like consuming his life. And so he just like wrote up this guy. He was like, yeah, he's the biggest, baddest villain, and you know, he's this crime lord guy and everything.
Yeah.
And there's like very little actual detective work going on. It does feel like a fairly sloppy story, honestly, like comparatively, just because like then at the end they just throw themselves off a cliff.
Like
except
in the movie.
Yeah, except Sherlock actually did it because stuff and things, but there's no oxygen breather or anything like that. But yeah, it's just kind of like he's just written in there to be like, oh no, this is Sherlock Holmes' archvillain, even though we did not know he's never been mentioned before in any like story. At least as far as I remember, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah. And so I appreciate the fact that it actually like made me imagine how Moriarty would operate and like, you know, how he could pull all these strings and be at like the heart of all crime. Yeah. You know, I think that's a. You know, I think it's really cool that they actually made me believe that this guy is actually like at the heart of it all.
I just find it funny, you look at it, and it's kind of like the reverse of Batman and Joker, where Sherlock is the crazy one. He's the eccentric, wild one, and Moriarty's the calm, cool, and collected one.
That's true.
That's cool. I just think
it's a very cool dynamic. I love the fight scene at the end. I love where they go through like the slow motion of calculating out the fights after they have a chess match. Yeah. That Sherlock wins.
Is that a bit on the nose? I feel like too many movies do the metaphor of chess.
If you're going to do that with anything, you do it with Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty.
Maybe I'm just thinking specifically of X-Men because they seem to do that in like every movie.
Well, yeah, because that's
we need a chess set somewhere because Professor X and Magneto.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is Professor X and Magneto play chess a lot. I mean, that's fine. But I think it makes perfect sense in this one just because they're two incredible like masters of the intellect. I mean, I think it's fine. Like I think just because it's this movie and it's supposed to be like the two biggest minds in all of Europe, or I guess the world clashing together, you know, it's fine. I actually have no problem with it.
Maybe it's just because I was watching the special features for it and they were talking about that and developing the chess scene and the different moves and everything, and they were talking about how much of a metaphor it was for what was going on. I'm like, my problem.
Obviously, it's a metaphor for what's going on.
But my problem was, but this isn't the first time it's been done before. Like they acted like it was this brand new thing that no one had ever thought of. That's my
looking at it within the movie. It's fine. It's very obvious that that's what the plan is. Like it's they're playing chess as they're talking about how they're playing chess in real life. I mean, it's fine.
Well, I mean, when Sherlock goes to the opera and he figures out, the bomb's not here.
Yeah. I actually like that a lot. I think that's very cool.
Yeah. That's what I love about this movie. There's setups and payoffs. There's tons of setups and payoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you don't realize it's a setup.
Yeah.
It eventually pays off.
Yeah.
Like the oxygen supply thing.
Which just seems like some little eccentric thing Mycroft would have lying around because it's Mycroft. Yeah, I agree.
Or when they escape and they get on the train and they revitalize Sherlock and he looks at the one gypsy guy and he's like, I need to send you on an errand. Remind me of it later. And it's like, well, the audience is going to forget about that. And then he ends up being the one to deliver the notebook to Molly and she takes it to the inspector. It's a little thing.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Why do people hate this movie?
I don't know. No, I think a lot of it is that the first one felt like very much a big, action movie like you'd go to see any given summer, while the second one is trying to be a lot more intricate, and because of that you can kind of like turn off your mind and sit back in the first one, and just pay attention to the kind of environments, a few key environments that happen. I mean, I know the first one's not dumb. I'm not saying
I agree with you for a bit. I don't think you're giving the first one enough credit.
I'm just saying this one is. I'm saying, however intricate the first one is, this one is a lot more complicated. Yeah. And you just have to pay a lot more attention. You have to be really focused on what's going on to understand anything that's happening, and not just feel like it's just one, big mess of people just going places because they have or they feel like it. Like there's
a plot. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. And because of that, I can see why people would have issues if they just weren't expecting that, and then they go in and they're like, wait, what? And then they just get really thrown off. Like, I can understand that. That I feel like that's got to be the main reason, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there was some really brilliant stuff here. Like I was saying about the Moriarty fight scene. Like, I love that. We've had 2 full movies of Sherlock.
Completely dominating people.
Well, yeah, but
fights.
because he's of Sherlock doing the think through his fights. Thing that we were talking about, and I love that. Then like Sherlock starts doing that, and this is like Moriarty's like, oh come on, you can do better than that, and then Moriarty starts talking, and you can. It's just really cool that this idea of 2 guys like thinking through the fight without ever doing it,
and they both come to the exact same
because
conclusion.
they know exactly what's going to happen. They don't even have to say anything like that. That's just a really cool idea of and yeah, I love that little setup.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very, very cool. I also
the ending is a bit Dark Knight Rises, isn't it?
Is it before Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, I know. I find it funny. It's like,
well, I mean,
I think the hero's dead. Oh wait, no, he's not.
Because that's exactly what happened in the book. So that's just I think.
Does he come up with a camouflage suit?
No.
And then he hides in Watson's office?
And that's what I was talking about earlier, is that he killed Sherlock because he was like, I'm tired of writing Sherlock,
and then
done.
the fans were like,
no, don't we hate you, we're going to burn you at the stake if you don't write more Sherlock. and then he was like, okay, I'll write more Sherlock. And so he just wrote him back in, and he was like, oh no, he's fine now. He escaped.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I like that. It's
Are you saying Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a hack fraud?
A little
loved
bit.
Nothing but money.
He's a bit of hack fraud. I wouldn't say love nothing but money, but he's a bit of a hack fraud sometimes. But yeah, I think it's really interesting that both of the major recent adaptations of Sherlock Holmes have latched onto that story as like the central story of what was that, Sherlock season 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
based on what you're saying, they take them in 2 different directions and they do them significantly better.
Yeah, they do. That's what I'm saying. It's funny to me that they grabbed on that, which is just kind of like a throwaway story that, it's important to Sherlock Holmes, I guess, like just because it's an interesting event. But as far as like the actual quality of the original story and like the reason it was not done for a storytelling purpose.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that both of those have like taken that and made that like a central thing that is very, the epic climax of one of their stories.
I want to see if any like diehard Sherlock Holmes book fans listen to this and they comment like, Tyler, you're a hack
Probably
fraud.
They will.
You're bad-mouthing Sir
just
Arthur Conan Doyle.
They're very
God rest his soul.
A lot of the stories are very good. I enjoy it. Are you saying he's dead? I didn't know he was dead. No, I mean the stories are very good. It just this was not one that was written for the purpose of being a good story. Yeah. And they made it into a good story. Do
you know this for a fact, or are you just making this up?
I'm not making it up. I don't know it for a fact because it's just been a while since I looked it up. But that is what I remember from when I last looked at it.
Okay.
I'll do some research. We can throw a little annotation about how I'm a hack fraud if I'm wrong.
Or we don't have to.
Or we don't have to. Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm editing these. I don't feel like throwing that in there.
Fair enough. What was I going to say? And one last little comment. I enjoy all of the, and I was kind of saying this earlier too, the slow-mo fight scenes, like especially the one where they're running to the train.
Yeah.
Like that's a really cool sequence.
Yeah.
Where like it's they're all and suspended in midair basically as these bullets fly by because that's like relatively how fast they're going.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool, and like the tree splintering and everything. I think that's a really, really cool concept and execution for
I'm trying to think of the argument against that, because would some people be like, oh, the super slow-mo is just action porn, kind of,
But it's just like the fight scenes that Sherlock is in, like the hand fight scenes that he's in. It's exactly the same way, where it's very meticulously planned and choreographed. Like it's very obvious what they're going for.
Yeah.
And you can see exactly what's happening, because like in any other
that
movie,
is true.
It's
not just, hey, it's a bunch of stuff happening.
In any other movie,
cuts, constant explosions.
Yes, exactly.
You don't know what's happening.
In any other
we
movie,
don't know what's happening.
In any other movie, it's just a bunch of people running, and there's explosions. You don't know who just got killed, and it's like.
We should do a discussion about the state of action movies.
We should. We'll get around to that. We have big plans.
Yes.
Stay tuned, loyal fans.
So, do we have anything else to say?
Not really. I just generally In fact, I like this movie more now that we've discussed it. Interestingly enough,
Cool.
This is the opposite of Prometheus. in that after discussing it, I actually appreciate the movie more than its predecessors.
Yeah.
than Prometheus.
Prometheus has a positive Rotten Tomatoes score.
That's wrong. No, incorrect. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, but like you compare this to other schlock action movies out now, it's like people worked hard to make this. Like this is well made, well told, well acted.
Yeah,
it's well everything.
It's well.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it a lot.
Like, it's not super high art or anything, which is why I'm giving it a B plus and not an A.
It's not a cinematic masterpiece, but it's a very interesting exploration of stuff that you can do in a movie to make it more interesting and easier to follow and more clever.
Yeah.
And nobody seemed to take any notice of that because I guess it didn't do as well as they wanted it to. And so they were like, well, that's not how to make a movie.
I think it did fine at the box office.
Okay.
It was just kind of mixing the reviews, which is why it's on here.
Yes, but critically, yeah. Which is probably why people were like, executives were like, well, looks like none of the stuff in that movie will work. Time to go back to the drawing board. And never tried to, nobody in any studio ever tried to follow up on those kind of ideas and the slow-mo and everything.
But maybe they'll make a Sherlock Holmes 3.
That would make me happy. I know they...
Guy Ritchie just finished up with Man from U.N.C.L.E., so...
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr. keeps saying they're working on the script,
Yeah.
And apparently Jude Law's not doing anything, and they've asked him a couple times, it's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for them to call me.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be nice. It would be... I'd love to see a third one. Because they I think I've actually was looking this up the other day, and they were talking about how they refuse to make one unless it is bigger and better than the previous two.
Yeah.
Which... I'd say that's great. That's a great reason to not have made one in, what is it now, 4 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to see a third one if they really, believe that they can make one that tops this one. So,
yeah.
I loved it. May actually be an A- at this point. The more I think about it.
Yeah.
Just because, like...
High art for you?
Yeah, not quite high art. It's got to be like a straight A.
For me to reach the A range, it's got to be like a super in-depth emotional experience for me, or like super high art. I really appreciate
it's. Is there? Can I give it like straight 90? Is that acceptable?
Like right between B plus and A.
Yeah, or like an 89.5, where it's up to you to decide whether you should round it or leave it at that.
Sure, we can go with that.
Yeah, like I mean that's just, it's because I mean it's not.
Talk about splitting hairs.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that I know it's not a perfect masterpiece of a movie, but the ideas and the way the action, it's the same way that the same kind of reasons that I really enjoyed Kingsman. The action, the way the action is very meticulous and done in a very specific way, and they really thought about what they were doing with the action and like the way it works. It's the same sort of thing where they're exploring some really interesting ideas that I wish more random summer blockbusters would do, but I guess it probably costs more money, so that's why they don't do it. But I mean,
like,
but then you go and look at what Kingsman did at the box office compared to what it should have done, and then you're like, well, maybe there's something to this. I hope that executives start to pick up on that.
Yeah. Deadpool's gonna blow everyone away.
Oh, that would make me happy. I guess we've just about ran our thoughts out on this movie.
Yeah.
There you go. We enjoyed it a lot. Go see it if you watched through this without seeing it.
I don't know. I really want to know if anybody does that for any of these. If they're just like, I haven't seen the movie, but I want to hear their thoughts on it. Whatever. Okay.
Does anybody watch any of these?
All right, we got a couple of quick updates for everyone who's managed to stick around. First off, what's the next video? Or
the next title for the bronze. It'll be 2 weeks from now. It's going to be Avatar.
No, stop it.
Alex has a problem with Avatar.
Get it out of my head.
He has a problem with Avatar. I do not have as much a problem with Avatar, so this should be interesting.
I wish I had roofies to make it go away.
Oh, okay, that's dark. However, with the sale for the bronze will continue to be on a 2-week pace, more or less. It'll shift every now and then depending on if we want to line it up with a movie that's coming out. However, as part of kind of our new lineup, which will be starting in September, we're going to be rolling out a lot of new series. We are going to start reviewing the DC animated movies. So if you tune in next Wednesday, I believe that is the 2nd, September 2nd, we're going to start off as going chronological order, starting with Mask of the Phantasm.
Yep.
So that's going to be a very similar format to Settle for the Bronze. Going to be the same sort of, in-depth review of how we feel about it and everything.
But it's not specifically based on critical reception.
No, it's just, we're going through all of the DC animated movies.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And if you're wondering why not?
Yeah. Why not? That's a good reason for pretty much anything we do on this channel. We reviewed High School Musical Dance Off or whatever the crap it was called for an April Fool's joke. This is not a channel that has well thought out ideas, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Wow, you just threw both of us under the bus there, didn't you?
Pretty much.
All right then. Well, everybody, thank you for watching.
So that's an update on the channel. We'll come up with, or we'll have more on that later on some of the new changes going on. But yeah, thanks for getting through this if you did.
Got big things coming.
Big things coming.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Okay, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks for, oh God, not our Avatar discussion.
For our wonderful Avatar discussion.
Bye-bye.
Nice form, but a little rough on the landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
Lie down with me, Watson.
Why?
I insist.
Hello, everyone. This is Alex,
With Tyler.
and welcome to Settle for the Bronze. Yeah, what are we talking about this time?
We are talking about Sherlock Holmes 2.
A Game of Shadows, right?
Game of Shadows.
Yeah. We don't really get why everyone hates this one.
Yeah. This is how we feel about a lot of things, to be fair. But, yeah. It has a 7.5 on IMDb, a 59% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critic score, and a...
For me to give a movie an A or in the A range,
Uh-huh.
I feel like it needs to do that. But yeah, it's technically rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and I just don't get it. I told you while we were watching it, before we started recording, that I think of this and like the recent Mission Impossible movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the modern equivalents of the Indiana Jones films.
I agree. I do agree.
It's
It's a weird comparison to make, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand where that... Because, it is
in terms of, like, these well-made, fun adventure movies that have great characters.
Yeah, and they are actually interesting.
But
they have...
But you wouldn't say there's, like...
As far as, like, how good it is, but as far as, like, the themes you can get out of it and stuff like that, I don't know. And it's just...
There's specific beats that you can remember a lot more easily than some of these other scores.
The actors are just as good as they were in the first one. They cast similar good actors for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot I don't like about this. I don't really know why people hate it so much.
What letter grade would you give it?
B plus. B plus.
Okay.
Consider B plus.
Okay. I don't disagree with anything you just said. Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot of problems with it either. I think it's well made. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that are die-hard, BBC Sherlock fans, we're not going to be spending this.
We have watched the Sherlock.
Yeah, and we both love it a lot.
Yes, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, but we're not going to spend this whole time just comparing the Robert Downey Jr. version versus the Benedict Cumberbatch version. We're not going to be doing that because they're just completely separate.
No, there's no way you can. They're basically different characters.
It feels like trying to compare like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies almost to like Adam West.
Yeah.
Not saying that
one is but in terms of just how starkly different the tone is, there's no way you can sit there and say one is better than the other. I mean, they're both trying to accomplish very different things.
And they both
I think they both succeed very well.
Yeah, but they're going for different things, like you said. I'd go for a B plus as well.
Okay.
It doesn't quite reach that level of greatness. Like, oh my God, that is one of my favorite movies.
77% on Rotten Tomatoes for the audience score.
Okay.
Which is low.
It's technically rotten.
Yeah. Which is weird.
Spider-Man 3 has a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than this movie.
Which is wrong. Which is...
It's so wrong
incorrect.
On so many levels.
It's false. No.
Tyler, just go ahead and get your thoughts.
I like it. I think it's fine. I mean, I enjoy the first one. I enjoyed this one as well. I think it's got actually a lot of cool effects and everything. Very interesting direction. I like the score. I almost want to say my favorite Hans Zimmer score. I really like it, and it feels. We were talking about this earlier. It feels a lot more iconic as far not